Hello and welcome to a new episode on Sadhana World Foundation. As you know, we care about crafting young lives. We present experiences and stories from our day to day lives, establish a connection with them with the teachings in our ancient texts. We think that these texts have got a tremendous amount of moral teachings which will help us live this life meaningfully and happily. How often we encounter people and situations in our day-to-day life where we are rushed, we are in a hurry, we are in a hurry to finish something, we are in a hurry to decide, we are always in a rush, especially after all the mobile phones and the gadgets are at our hands. We are all restless. We want to finish things quickly. We are being told to finish, to do things fast. In this rush of things, probably all of us are becoming more and more restless. Imagine on a cricket field, an umpire is there. The umpire has seen the action, the bowler has appealed. How many seconds does the umpire have to give his verdict? He has to either raise his finger or he has to probably just nod his head saying, no, it's not out. Just a few seconds, isn't it? But we do see that good umpires are the people who are not in a hurry. They take that extra 1 or 2 seconds or take that 5 seconds more and then they make the final call. What do they do during those 5 seconds? Probably they reprocess the information that they have gathered in their head and look around in those 5 seconds to see that extra signal or that additional input from that environment, how the batsman is reacting, how another player on the field is reacting, how his colleague on the field, the other umpire, reacting. And those 5 seconds are the crucial 5 seconds where the umpire pauses, reflects, and gives the final decision. I was thinking about this particular phenomenon which is happening in each one of our lives on a daily basis. This example of the umpires came to my mind because the World Cup is going on right now. Think of the story in the Mahabharata, the story of King Dhrutarastra who was ruling Hastinapur. He was blind. He had good faith on the council of ministers that he had, especially on Vidur, who was considered to be wise, and his chief counselor. When the most critical conflict that engulfed his kingdom, his rule, and the history, he could not pause and reflect. Here goes the story. The Kauravas and the Pandavas were the two clans who were individually tremendously talented and gifted. But there was a conflict between the two clans. Dhrutarashtra's own sons, the clan of the Kauravas, were extremely ambitious and probably rightly so. However, they wanted to express their ambition in the form of rivalry, in the form of jealousy, in the form of unfair advantage over the other clan, over the other group. Though they were cousins, the Pandavas and the Kauravas were the cousins. However, Dhrutarashtra would flow with the ambitions of his son Duryodhan and all other brothers. Encouraged by a few members of the family, Vidur, who was the chief counselor, one of the most important ministers in the council of ministers, kept advising Dhrutarashtra that a war between the two clans is going to be destructive, is going to ruin several families, is going to bring destruction to our kingdom. Think about this majesty. Dhrutarashtra didn't listen to the counsel of Vidur. Finally, the battle of Mahabharata took place. Possibly that battle had to take place for the Mahabharata had to happen, and the lessons are here for all of us to reflect. If alone Dhrutarashtra had listened to the counsel of Vidur, then the war would not have taken place. Vidur kept on advising him that the two groups can be brought together and some kind of a resolution can happen to the conflict, to their rivalry. And the Pandavas were more than willing to have a peaceful coexistence with the other clan. They could have lived happily together in two different kingdoms, in two different areas. And that's what probably was a good solution. However, the king of Hastinapur, Dhrutarashtra, didn't listen to this advice. If at all he would have paused for a few hours on Vidur's advice. The war did not happen instantaneously. However, the advice of Vidur did not stay in Dhrutarashtra's mind for long enough period, and Dhrutarashtra didn't engage with that advice. In our lives, we keep encountering many such situations where we respond on the spur of the moment. There is a debate, there is a discussion, there is an argument on social media, in-person discussions, and people just respond without thinking how that situation is going to escalate further or could escalate further, and finally we waste so much of our energy dealing with the outcomes of all the effort that we put in arguments. Many of the negative situations that we encounter could probably be completely avoided, could be prevented altogether if we pause and reflect. In our day-to-day lives, how we deal with the feeling of ambition in our mind, how we deal with somebody's criticism in our mind, those things decide what happens for the next few days or next few moments of our life. So, ladies and gentlemen, my dear children, so many times we are told that don't respond on the spur of the moment, respond after giving it a careful thought. However, many of us fail to put it in practice, but in our ancient texts, Mahabharata is just an example. It's there in Greek mythology, it's there in Bible, it's there in the Chinese philosophy, it's there all over. Many ancient texts keep advising the same thing, that we must reflect, we must pause, we must reflect, take a decision. A few moments of delay is going to give a long-term happiness. Thank you very much for thinking about it and spreading these timeless pieces of wisdom to many others. I look forward to our future conversations. Thank you very much.